Hi, my name's Emma, and let's talk spooky stuff. Welcome back to my channel and another monthly wrap up. I watched a lot this month, and as I have for the last couple of months, I watched a lot of TV, so stay tuned to the end when we go through the TV shows. But first, we'll get into Letterboxd. But before that, I get asked all the time, how do I access all these different movies from around the world? And the answer is Surfshark. And lucky for us, Surfshark are sponsoring today's video. Surfshark is a VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. They encrypt all of your data and keep it safe while you're surfing online, but they also unlock content, geo-blocked content from around the world. So say for instance, if I wanted to access a TV show that was only on Germany Netflix, I can flick a switch and all of a sudden I'm living in Berlin and I can watch all of Germany's Netflix content. And a cool feature is that they offer unlimited devices. So not only do I have it on my smart TV upstairs and on my laptop, I also have it on my phone. So I can watch stuff on the go, but also I can keep all of my data encrypted and private. Surfshark have a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. So sign up today, and if you aren't happy within 30 days, you can cancel it, no questions asked. Make sure to use my code SPOOKY because Surfshark is giving my viewers 83% off and 3 months extra for free. The link is in the description. Check it out. You will not be sorry. Now let's jump into what I watched this month on Letterboxd. And as always, I have my Letterboxd link down below if you do want to follow me. Okay, we're in my diary. Let's go down to the start of the month. Whoa, too far. The start of the month. Oh, also, a lot of people asked me if I watched Hunter x Hunter. I did talk about it in my December wrap-up, which you can see here. Okay, the start of the month. I watched Nomadland, and I loved this film so much. I would have included it as one of my best films for 2020, but I saw it in 2021, and the release is technically meant to be 2021. So complicated, but absolutely love that film. It's not horror related, obviously, but it is a beautiful kind of like slice of life film about a woman who the system has just done her dirty, and she starts to invest in this life of a nomad, but I don't know what they're called. There is a name for people who are over 60 who are nomads. I don't want to say like silver nomads. I don't know what it's called. And it's about that life and that community. And I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but I thought it was fascinating, beautiful. But it's quite a slow movie. It's not like a really exciting film. It's just a very slow, sad, but also hopeful piece of life. It's hard to explain. It's really beautiful though. Then I watched Sound of Metal. I gave it a 5. I absolutely love this movie. I'm obsessed with this movie. I put it off for a little bit because I knew I would really like it. A lot of people I know were watching it, but I had no idea I would like it this much. It's about a heavy metal drummer who loses his hearing and his journey. And it's about, I don't really want to go too much into it because it's just a journey film and one that you really aren't expecting. And I think that's what I liked about it. I really didn't expect for it to come away with the messages it did, and it was very powerful. It's not really about what you think it is. A lot of people say, oh, you know, it's going to be like Whiplash. It's not like that at all. It's about him and his journey and him changing. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I grew up around the deaf community in I'm not going to mention my town because no one will even know what it is, but I went to like a deaf school and I learned sign language, Australian Sign Language, which is Auslan, from when I was a kid, and yeah, it's just awesome to see that represented in such a way that is authentic in a film. Then I watched The Wolf House. I watched a couple of these next films, maybe just the next two, I was trying to watch a couple of foreign films that I didn't get around to, foreign horror films, in 2020, and I did this for a video. So I watched The Wolf House, which is an amazing animation. So scary though. I did not expect it to be that scary. It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, it says what it's about, but it's about this woman who escapes to this house, and she goes to live in there, and it's more about the story's really creepy, but the animation around it, and it's just like everything is morphing, and they made real, like the sets are life-size houses. It's hard to explain. I might put a clip in. I usually don't do that, but just to show, because it's so hard to explain. It is a beautiful movie, and I highly recommend checking it out. You can rent it, I believe, on Vimeo, or I believe on YouTube. I think that's how I rented it. Highly recommend if you're looking for something very different, but very intense. I then watched Don't Listen, which this one was on Netflix, and this is a Spanish film, I believe, and it is about a boy who is haunted by this entity in his house, and his parents don't believe him. I recommended this one in my foreign horrors of 2020, but a lot of you guys didn't like it, which I thought was interesting. But I mean, I totally get it. I think it's one of those ones that either works or it doesn't. I liked the twists and turns, but some people might have found it quite predictable. My main thing in it was so much more intense than I thought it was going to be. It was very brutal. I then watched Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. I never understood why this title was that way until I watched the film, obviously. It is about a girl who has to go across the country to get an abortion because it's not legal where she is, and her journey. And it's just like it's almost, I think it's like 48 hours. It's like real time almost. Obviously, it doesn't go 48 hours, but it's like a short amount of time that the film takes place in. And yeah, it's a quite powerful movie, but I gave it a 7, which is quite high for me, you know me. But I felt like a lot of people were like obsessed with that film. I did like it. It was just very traumatic to watch. I watched The Dry, which is an Australian film starring Eric Bana. This is like a drama crime kind of movie. Feels like a TV show about a guy who goes back. He's like a cop, and he goes back to this small rural country town that he grew up in, and he has to try and investigate a murder of someone he knew, or like a crime, I should say. I mean, murder's involved in the crime. And it's very brutal, the crime, by the way. And at that same time, he's like faced with his demons from when he was a kid. It was alright. I don't think it was anything great. There was a lot of plot holes, so it was fun to watch with someone, because afterwards we were like, wait, what happened here? What happened here? It kept me guessing. Then I watched Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. I was recommended this one a lot too. I talked about this in like a What's Coming to VOD sometime last year. It's a Polish slasher about a bunch of kids that go to this offline camp. So they're meant to, unplug, and yeah, it's an offline camp. It's kind of self-explanatory. But I just wasn't impressed by this one. I gave it a 2.5. I can see here, I think a lot of other people kind of agree. Oh no, we got some 3.5s, but the average is 2.3. Not a lot really happens. For such a good setup and storyline, it kind of just capped off really. I don't know. I was expecting there to be like this big backstory to what was happening to them in the woods. Not really. I probably wouldn't recommend that one. I watched The Next Couple again for that foreign horror movie video. I will link that, by the way. I watched Alive, which is an amazing South Korean film. I really liked this film. It's like a zombie one where he's like locked in his apartment. I thought it was going to be, I'm not really into zombie films. It takes me a while to watch them, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was quite good and really compelling. Usually I kind of zone out when it's zombies, but I really cared about the characters. I would recommend that one, and it's on Netflix. I watched Why Don't You Just Die, which is such a crazy film. This one is a Russian film. Again, I spoke about it in that foreign video, and it is about a boy that goes to murder this man. And then, yeah, other things take hold, and it's all set in this apartment, and it's just wacky and brutal, and the carnage starts like a minute in, which is quite surprising, and yeah, pretty epic, I would say. Then I watched Coco Da. This is another foreign horror movie that is so disturbing. It really took me by surprise. I'm surprised I only gave it a 3. If I went back, I might give it a 3.5, because I haven't stopped thinking about it. And sometimes when I'm putting in my scores in Letterboxd, I'm like putting them right after I see the film, but when it stays with me for so much longer, sometimes I feel like it deserves another point. Or another half, I guess, in this case. But Coco Da is crazy. It's like this surrealist, dreamlike film about this family in mourning, and it's terrifying. It really is. You have to watch it, and if you don't like really out there fantasy strange films, you'll hate it. If you like really disturbing fantasy, you'll like this film. Talking about disturbing films, I rewatched Eyes Wide Shut because I was on a Kubrick, you'll see later, on a Kubrick little binge for The Shining. But I wanted to rewatch this one because I didn't remember as much. I love A Clockwork Orange. That's my favorite Kubrick movie. But of course, I'm a huge Nicole Kidman fan, and I thought, hey, I just need to check this one out again. I haven't seen it in maybe like 5 or 6 years. Absolutely loved it. What a work of art. Someone DM'd me saying it was one of the scariest movies they've ever seen. I don't think it's scary at all. I just love the whole idea behind it, and yeah, Nicole Kidman's monologue, oh, it's just stunning. If you've never seen this film, it is, I mean, it's about a lot, but it's about this couple and his kind of awakening to that his wife has sexual desires outside the marriage. I've heard the reason that they cast Nicole and Tom Cruise in this is because they were a couple at the time and they wanted to have that real feeling of betrayal. Yeah. Anyway, I think they pulled it off really. It's just an amazing, strange film that gets really culty and odd. But I just love the idea behind it. I think it's really clever. And yeah, I liked it. I watched Scary Movie 2. My Patreons. I have a Patreon. It's always linked down below if you ever want to check it out. And we watch movies together. And they make me watch the worst movies. We usually put them all in a jar and I pick out one at random. And Scary Movie, they love Scary Movie. I don't know if they like watching me squirm. I am not a fan of the scary movies. But yes, so that's why I haven't rated it, because I just can't. I watched Pieces of a Woman, which is a film I was really scared to watch because like body horror I love and hate. I have like this weird attachment to. And Pieces of a Woman, I was really worried about how much it would involve her body, because that stuff I can't. It's about a woman who has a traumatic experience giving birth and the after effects of it. It's a pretty startling film, and I'm glad it exists. That's all I have to say. The next film I watched was The Swerve, and The Swerve is a film that a lot of you recommended to me, especially on my top 20 of 2020. A lot of you said, oh, you need to see this film, it was so good. I didn't love it. I thought it was interesting. I definitely will give you that. It's about this woman and her downfall. She can't sleep. All of her issues in her life are coming to like a point, you know, and it's about her downfall. It really is. It's about so many things, but really that's how you would explain it. I think the ending is just so intense and a lot. If you think Hunter x Hunter is intense, like check this one out. Yeah, I thought the ending was intense. I thought it was, like, the acting in it is amazing, but I can't say I enjoyed watching it. It was very awkward, but I like awkward films. More in a, you know what it reminds me of? Like Compliance almost, like that spiral into uncomfortable being when you're watching it. That's how I felt. I watched Bloody Hell. I did a Patreon review for this. Sorry, I don't mean to call it out so much, but that's where it's gone if you're wondering what my opinion was. I wasn't a big fan of this film and I really wanted to be. It's an Australian production, and it is about a man. I talked about it in my What's Coming Up on VOD. It's about a man who he does this strange thing when he gets into this circumstance, and from there he gets all this notoriety, and so he escapes and he goes to Finland, Helsinki, and when he arrives into his own personal hell. That's my vague way of saying it, but I think that's how they described it in the trailer or something. I thought it was quite cliche. I know a lot of people really like this film, so definitely take it with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion. And I just wanted a little bit more. There was like just a couple of nitpicky things for me, but I just don't think it was for me. It's quite actiony. The lead I just didn't feel an attachment to, but I can totally understand other people would. It's just, it really wasn't made for me, so I can appreciate that. Next, I watched Synchronic, and I did a review on that, so check that out. And then here you go, here's The Shining and The Shining. So I did put The Shining, usually I wouldn't do this, but I did put The Shining TV series in here. Obviously, I don't usually put my TV shows here, but I guess it's a mini series. It's just like if you put it, you'd put it, you know, on Letterboxd. So I watched The Shining mini series, finally, finished it. That was a lot. If you've ever seen it, it goes for like 5 hours. And the acting is very TV movie, let's say that. It's very true to the book. In some circumstances, they do change some things as well. But yes, I was not a fan. I mean, I think it was interesting, and I totally understand it coming from the book, because I did read the book this month as well. But yes, yeah, I don't know. And then I rewatched The Shining, and I did this. This is for Does This Offend You? I did with Vicky from Nightmare Maven. I did it on her channel. I will link it down below. Please go check it out. It's a live stream, so it goes for a long time, and it's, you know, us chatting back and forth about all of the differences and the controversial moments in them. So definitely check that out. It's fun. And I will be doing one this month on this channel, so stay tuned on my Instagram or on my Twitter. I have all information about that when it's coming up. But yeah, The Shining, the movie, I feel so different about after reading the book, watching the series, and then also doing just some research on the whole thing. I feel very different, but I also feel like I feel good about it, because I feel like I schooled myself and I did some, I don't know, some deep dive into The Shining, which I never had actually done before. And yeah, I don't know, I like The Shining. I love The Shining, but I like it in such a different way than I like the book. I see it as a completely different thing, absolutely different to the book, something that's been totally transformed. I watched the Poughkeepsie tapes, and I did a review on this. I don't think it was a review. I didn't give a score. It was more of a rant. I didn't mean for it to be a rant. I just have so many people asking me about this film, and people have been asking me for videos for years, and I just happened to have that free slot, and I thought I'm just gonna do it. And I watched the movie, and I thought if anything comes to me that I feel like talking about, I'll do it. And I ended up having a lot to talk about, so thank you so much for watching that video if you did. It got a really good reaction, a lot of thumbs down, but that was expected, because I get it, people aren't gonna appreciate someone else's opinion. That's totally fine, I don't mind. But I had a lot of you agreeing with me in the comments, which I had no idea about, so that made me feel really good. Not to like validate my own opinion, but just to kind of know I wasn't completely off the ball, and I wasn't seeing something other people weren't seeing at all. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing that video. I watched The Night, and this film should be out by now. It's on Netflix. It's an Iranian American picture about a couple. God, it actually has really weird similarities to The Shining in a way. They go to the hotel, and the father, you know, the male in the heterosexual couple, he's just angry. Like, he's got something. That's why I feel like The Shining, like they go into a hotel and then something funky is going on in the hotel. And that movie I was gonna do a review on. I really had my heart set on doing a review, but when I went to go write down something, I just didn't have a lot to talk about. I do think it's an interesting portrayal of spiraling, which I think a lot of horror movies these days are doing, spiraling. And I really love the way they set up the characters at the start of the film. I thought that was done really well. But I just felt like the spiral was a bit slow for me. But I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about that one. Let me know if you've seen The Night. I gave it a 3, so I mean it's above average for me. I thought it was a good watch, and I liked that they sunk you into the characters at the start. I think that's so important, especially for horror. Speaking of horror, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I watched this for another Patreon hangout, and we did like the whole dance along thing. I might put a photo up here. I'm sorry if you're a patron, I didn't give permission, but it's just too funny. Yeah, anyway, that was a lot of fun. And I watched The Bloodhound, which is a film that I really was excited to watch. It is so vibey, so vibey. I talked about it again in what's coming to VOD this month. And the movie is about a man who goes to visit a friend that he hasn't seen in 10 years. And this friend is like this recluse man who hasn't stepped outside of his house in years. And he's rich and he's sad. He's got something is wrong with him, and his friend goes to try and stay with him. but their dynamic is so awkward and weird, and it's like a very slow mumblecore type film that has this eerie kind of fantasy underlayer. But I think that the visuals in it really represent Hereditary. If you're ever wondering what that poster is, that is what it is. Sorry, a lot of people ask me what it is. Sorry, my mic shadow is in there. I'm just realizing. I'm sorry about that. So it has this kind of like the warm tones, as you can see, the warm tones with the contrasting, you know, deep shadows and light sources. And I don't know, it just really reminded me of the vibes of Hereditary, but the film doesn't go anywhere really, so I don't think a lot of people will like it. Actually, I think majority of people will really hate it, but if you're into vibes and pure vibes, you will like this film for sure. I watched Don't Tell a Soul, another film that I wanted to do a review on, but I just didn't have a lot to say, especially because it turned out to be very predictable. This is a film that I spoke about again on my What's Coming on VOD. It is about two boys who steal something, and then when they're like running away, the security guard who's following them falls down this well, and it is played by Rainn Wilson, which a lot of people did ask me if that was him when I showed the trailer last time. And yeah, it's this weird ass movie that is meant to be kind of like it's meant to be like a thriller, but it turns into more like a drama crime, and it like the dynamics of it is so intense between the brothers. They have this really abusive relationship, and I thought that yeah, I felt that quite triggering. I don't know, I just felt like it was kind of predictable, so I wasn't the biggest fan, and as you can see, I think other people probably weren't either. Yeah, 2.5. I think it's one of those films that is just average, so I probably wouldn't recommend you run out and watch it, but if you're looking for something to watch on a Sunday afternoon while you're doing craft, maybe that's your go. I then watched Molly's Game, which I have been putting off for so long, and I'm so glad I finally watched it. It's, how do I explain this? It's actually a pretty good movie based on a true story. I think it's based on a true story. That's how it presents itself. And it is about a woman who starts these poker games, like hosting these poker games, and all of the stuff she runs into doing it in LA and in New York. It has Michael Cera in it, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. My partner, he plays poker, so it was like a fun thing we could watch together where it was kind of like crime and dark, but also like poker and sport. Anyway, moving on back to horror. I watched Wrong Turn, the first one, and then I watched the second one. I had no desire to watch the second one, but after finishing the first one, I was just kind of on this Wrong Turn kick. And Wrong Turn, I tell you what, the continuity errors in that film are so insane, but it's like peak 2000s, you know what I mean? It's 2000s horror. It has the quintessential 2000s horror cast. And yeah, I just feel like there is no real backstory given to what's going on. I think it's kind of messed up when you think about the fact that they just paint these people who have obviously been harmed by chemicals as villains. I'd like to know more about them. I don't think it's that great. Obviously, I gave it a 2.5. I still thought it was enjoyable to watch, but I gave it a 2.5 for a film. I was actually really surprised by the second one because I watched the trailer before watching it, and even looking at this poster, check out this poster. I was like, this is going to be so bad. But then I watched it, and I thought it was just as good as the first one. It had more story, and what I liked about it the most is it had the same, what's her name? I don't know her name. This must be her, Erica? Yes, it has her, and she is from the Blair Witch 2, and if you don't know anything about me, I am the biggest fan of Blair Witch 2. Scratch that, I am the only fan of Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows, and she was in it, which I was really happy about, but I also thought it just had a better story, it had more development to the characters. I don't know, it has like this, I don't know, it has this element about reality TV, which is kind of lame. It's kind of is like Blair Witch 2, now I think about it. It's kind of, yeah, lame. It has like a found footage element, which is not lame, but in this it's kind of lame. But I just felt like the development was just as good as the first one. If you don't know about Wrong Turn, it's about people who go and take this wrong turn in the middle of nowhere. And then there's this family that has been mutated by this chemical spill. That's pretty much what it is. As all of them, I think, are like that. But the reason I watch these is because I'm going to watch the new one. And yes, I will be doing a come with me video because I'm allowed to go see it in the cinema. I'm so excited. I haven't seen a horror movie in the cinema since, I don't know, probably, obviously not as long as everyone else, but I'm excited because I get to take you with me. So definitely stay tuned for that one. Okay, now let's talk about TV. I did do a video recently talking about the best vibey mystery thriller TV shows. And on that, I talked about The Third Day, which I watched, I can't believe I watched this month. It must have been this month. Absolutely loved it. It stars Jude Law, and it's about him, and he goes to this strange island. Oh my god, he has like all these demons, but when he gets to this island, he just can't find a way off, and they have these strange pagan rituals. But the way it's shot, the cinematography is probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's just up close, really low f-stop, beautiful. It's just so beautiful and like eerie and strange, and Wicker Man, eat your heart out, I tell you that. And then there's also this strange element to it where it's kind of broken into two pieces, the TV show, but there's a third piece that's missing, that's in the middle, and that's a 12-hour live stream that they did. Yeah. All one take, starring like people like Florence and the Machine is in it. It's this insane portion of it just to show you like the rituals and this festival that happens on this island. Jude Law and everything is in that. I've only seen like highlights of it because I'm not down to watch 12 hours of it, but it was beautiful for what I saw, and yeah, something that is completely new for TV shows. I did want to say quickly that last month I talked about Lovecraft Country. I believe I finished it last month, but if I didn't, I did finish it. I didn't love it as much as everyone else, but I do think I misexplained it. Lovecraft Country is a book by Matt Ruff, and this TV show is based on the book, but it kind of takes place after the book, but it takes the same ideas. It's about the conjunction between Lovecraftian kind of culture and then racism in America during that time. I don't think I explained that properly in the last one, but it's based on a book, but after the fact, if that makes sense. Again, I liked the characters, I liked the different aspects, and I liked that the story changed throughout, but it was a little bit too fantasy for me, which, I mean, that's just not me, I think. Another TV show I watched was on Apple TV, which is called Defending Jacob. And this is another vibey TV show for sure. It is about one of the kids actually from It. I'm just going to refer to them as that. I'm so sorry. There's a crime at his school, let's say that. And his parents have to defend him after he gets accused of committing this crime. And you kind of go back and forth the whole time. It's about the psychology of the child and if your child is really capable of being a monster. And yeah, I mean, when you think about it that way, it's pretty compelling. I'd probably recommend it to anyone who likes like a slow, vibey crime thriller, for sure. I try to watch Flight Attendant, and this is a TV show that has been trending worldwide. And it is about a flight attendant who gets mixed up in a murder, and she keeps having these like flashbacks between the stuff she sees and, you know, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and she goes into like these fantasy kind of like in her head moments and then into her real life, and I was just waiting for it to get good, and it just didn't grab me. Let me know what you guys think about this one, and if it worked for you. Do you have to wait until a certain episode for it to get really good? Let me know. And I think it's worth mentioning, I am watching Twin Peaks season 3. I'm finally doing it. Took me so long. Please don't write any spoilers. I've been avoiding spoilers for years. Come on. And I think we're up to episode 9. We just got past episode 8, which is the crazy one. So yeah, I'm excited to finally finish that. I have a lot of thoughts. I guess I finally will do a Twin Peaks video. If you guys are interested, want me to do that, I was waiting till at least finished season 3. Let me know if you want me to and what you want me to talk about, because there's going to be so many different things. And then the last TV show I want to mention that I absolutely loved is I May Destroy You. This is about a woman who has a night out and has this traumatic event that changes her. It really does. And the TV show is so smart because it follows someone through like all of the stages of like really evolving and all of the after effects of something that happened on one night. And it's just amazing how one moment can change your whole life. And I just really liked how you see the character progress completely. Like, you see the whole it's insane. And it's a beautiful TV show. I think it's quite short. It's like 12 episodes, but they're about 30 minutes each. If you're in Australia, it's on Foxtel Go. And I loved it. It was really intense to watch. Trigger warning, has lots of sexual assault in it. And that's, you know, really what it's about, all different characters as well. It's a very intense TV show, but it's just done in such a stylish way as well, which you probably wouldn't expect me to say, but it's so stylish. It's got so much heart and soul, and the characters are just, so intense. I really recommend it to you guys if you haven't seen it yet. And if you like shows like Euphoria, I think you'd really like it, because it deals with, you know, a lot of dark themes in such a interesting, liberating way. Anyway, my voice is going if it wasn't obvious. I want to thank Surfshark again for sponsoring this video. It really does help me out. And I want to thank you for being here, for being part of my channel. I love having you guys here so much. And so thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I do 2 videos every single week talking about horror movies, talking about thrillers, giving you a lot of recommendations. And guess what? I joined TikTok. I don't know how active I'll be over there, but if you do want to, I'll leave that link down below. It's just Spookyastronauts. Anyway, thought I'd throw it on the end here because I just signed up this morning. Anyway, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.